Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pascack Clutch Podcast. I'm Matthew Merlino, joined by my co-hosts Sean Barry, Michael McKay, Sam Koppelman, and Alex McKay. This week was a very big week for sports. We'll start with Pascack Hill sports. The Bronco football team lost in the Super Football Conference playoffs, 44-20 against White Marl. They'll have their last game, a consolation game, at Newark Eastside tomorrow night. In the state playoffs, volleyball defeated West Milford in straight sets. They play Riverdale away in the quarterfinals today at 4:15. Girls soccer lost in the first round in overtime to Westwood final, and that one was 2-1. Boys soccer upset number 3 ranked High Point, but they lost in the quarterfinals to Indian Hills 5-1. And that's about it for our school sports. Fall sports is winding down here at Pascack Hills, and we'll get to you when those winter sports start up. Basketball, hockey, wrestling, a lot of favorites in the winter category. Now, gentlemen, we'll start with our college football recap. We start with a big upset in the Big 12 for the first time since 1997. The Kansas Jayhawks defeat the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma came into this one ranked number 6, and they lose to Kansas 38-33. Kansas with only 2 losses. They're both conference losses, but they're 6-2 overall. Big win for the Jayhawks right there.
Yeah.
And it gives them some more hope to lead them into college basketball season. So they can enjoy football, and then end of November when college basketball starts, they can stop caring. Because then middle self will just...
No Big 12 teams making the playoff now.
Yeah, no Big 12 team because Oklahoma beat Texas and
I feel like
lost to Kansas.
I don't think no one's getting in, but if there is a Big 12 getting in, it'll probably most likely be Texas.
I don't know. Them or Oklahoma might get the 12th.
No, but Oklahoma lost to Kansas. Texas
it's
only
a
lost.
playoff.
Texas,
yeah.
Texas lost is the only Oklahoma. I don't think they're not making the playoff. But I'm saying if there's a scenario when they're adding, if there is a Big 12 team, it'll probably most likely be Texas.
I agree, but still they lost to a team who just lost to Kansas. I mean, it was a close loss, but it's still a loss. So I think the Big 12 is out of it, meaning it's probably going to be Ohio State, SEC champ Georgia, Michigan, and maybe somebody out of the Pac-12 or another SEC team.
What happens if LSU does the impossible?
If LSU wins the SEC, they're the 2 seed then.
All right.
The first college football rankings for the playoffs came out from
and
CBS Sports.
We'll talk about those later.
The playoff rankings.
Yes, and we'll talk about those later. Our game of the week last week for college football was Oregon against Utah. It was 35-6, a big win for Oregon. And in our picks, I thought I had them up. Now I don't. Let's see. But I know that only one person took Utah, and that was Mr. Alex McKay. Nice pick.
I'm so 5-2. Unlike Mr.
You're 6-2.
Unlike,
Me and you are tied.
Yeah,
because taking into account those NFL picks.
Unlike Mr. Koppelman over here, who's 2-6.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later, but he's coming back. He's coming back.
Didn't I have 2 right picks last
You're
week?
coming back. You're coming back.
2 right
You're
picks?
still in last, but you're coming back. You're coming back. Another big upset in the college football world was number 17 North Carolina losing to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's second upset in the ACC this year. They beat Miami earlier this year, and they beat North Carolina 46-42. So North Carolina is out of it for the ACC. Now it's a 2-horse race between undefeated Florida State and 1-loss Louisville. So Florida State in the driver's seat. I'm not sure if they play each other yet this year.
Louisville's been a real interesting team to look at.
That's very interesting. So Florida State and Louisville don't play each other, and I think that means Florida State should win the ACC, and they'll probably make the playoff. So big win for Florida State, big win for Georgia Tech. And with that mention of the playoff, we'll go to our playoff rankings. The College Football Playoff Committee making these rankings. There are, 5 undefeated teams in the top 5. Those are Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, and Florida State at 4. All undefeated. The other undefeated team, Washington, who leads the Pac-12 right now, is number 5. Oregon is number 6 at 7-1. Texas, Bama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss all round out the top 10. Gentlemen, what do you think about this first ranking?
I think it's really interesting to see some of these teams where they stand. I didn't really think Ohio State was going to make number 1. I thought they were going to stay at like number 3, possibly beat Michigan at number 2, but to take number 1 and possibly play Florida State. I think the real game to watch is Georgia-Michigan, if that's going to be the final.
I just want to say, yes, it's early, but Michigan has 2 hard games coming up. They play Penn State in 2 weeks, then they play Ohio State to end off the season. So,
Wow.
I mean,
Those are the only games that matter. For
Time out.
yeah.
First thing, Michael says that the game to watch is going to be Georgia and Michigan, bro. If it's Georgia-Michigan in the final, Georgia is going to crush Michigan so bad. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Like,
He is
anything.
Right. He is right.
like-
Michigan can't perform in the playoff.
The
Yeah,
only
they
They
maybe
lost to TCU last year.
The only good semifinals is going to be watched is when Ohio State and Florida State go against each
Yeah.
other.
That could be an upset. And on your note, Michael's talking about Ohio State staying at number 3. They are number 3 in the AP poll, but
In
the
my
college
opinion,
poll,
and even though there's some bias, I don't think that Ohio State deserves that number 1 spot this season.
yeah. Well,
No.
Georgia's been rocky starts all year, and Ohio
Yeah.
State's
I
been
think
pretty
Ohio
consistent.
State's number 1 because after that good win against Notre Dame, and then they beat Penn State at home. So
And I mean, Georgia's been losing at halftime.
Exactly.
To
Georgia's not
Auburn,
consistent.
Florida, pretty much every team in the SEC they've played. South Carolina, they've
Ole
been
Miss.
losing at halftime, and they've
I-
come back.
it was
They haven't
close.
played
I
Ole
think-
Miss.
Oh, yeah, no.
Ohio
That's
State number 1 ranked in the playoff. I agree with.
I agree with the Ohio State 1 rank. I agree with the top 4. I think 4 and 5 between Florida State and Washington. The ACC is better than the Pac-12 right now. But if one of those teams loses, they're out. Because there's 5 undefeated teams right now that are in Power 5 conferences. I know there's some Group of 5 teams that are undefeated, but what are you going to do? You're not a Power 5.
I mean, this probably doesn't matter, but JMU is undefeated,
are undefeated.
and they're ranked now.
Number 23 in the AP, they're not ranked in the playoff poll.
Yeah.
They were ranked on ESPN when I saw.
Yeah.
So
But it's the first time in a while. That, right?
But, well,
long
it's
time.
they've only been a program since 2021, so it's the
Yeah.
first time in their
Really?
history. Last week was the first week that they've been ranked in the AP top 25, but they still can't make a bowl because of the NCAA's FCS upgrade to FBS regulations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of stupid.
that's something to look at if they actually end up doing good.
Well, they're
It's
undefeated
gonna be a
right
few
now
years.
through 8 games.
It's gonna take a few years to make the bowl.
Well, they can make a bowl next year, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, they still have to do really good.
We had, for our games to watch next week, number 23 Kansas State against number 7 Texas. Texas is 7-1, Kansas State 6-2. Could be a possible Big 12 championship preview. Texas favored to win that one by 4. They are at home, so if it was neutral site, it would probably be Texas favored by 1. Should be a good game to watch. SEC, a big game at 3:30 on CBS. Number 2 Georgia taking on number 12 Missouri. Missouri a dark horse with only 1 loss in the conference. Georgia, of course, undefeated, but have had a lot of slow starts. They're favored by 15.5 in Athens, Georgia. Could be an upset, but I think Missouri, as with the other teams, will lead until halftime, and then Georgia will come out and blow them away,
Yeah,
which is probably what will happen.
but you never know. It is sports.
Georgia even struggled a bit against State Vanderbilt.
I know.
Wow.
I know NCAA doesn't play on Sunday, but it's any given Sunday,
Any given Saturday, I guess.
any
you
given
could say.
Saturday.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Don't worry about it. ABC 3:30 is the Bedlam rivalry between number 9 Oklahoma and number 22 Oklahoma State. OU favored by 6. They are in Stillwater at Oklahoma State, and I think we could have an upset in that one. Oklahoma State only 6-2 with 1 conference loss. Same as Oklahoma. Oklahoma 7-1 overall. And that should be a win for Oklahoma. But coming off that loss to Kansas, morale might be down, so I think Oklahoma State could upset. Pac-12 at 7:30 on ABC. 8-0 undefeated, leading Washington at number 5 in the playoff bowl, taking on 7-2 and number 20 ranked USC. Washington is favored on the road at 3.5 points. They're favored by 3.5 points. But our game of the week 7:45 on CBS this Saturday night. Number 14 LSU traveling into Tuscaloosa to take on number 8 Alabama. Both LSU with 1 conference loss, 2 losses overall. Bama with 1 loss overall to Texas. They're undefeated 5-0 in the conference. And this one, barring the presence of Ole Miss, is for who will be in the driver's seat on the road to Atlanta. It's also our college game of the week. So, gentlemen, keeping in mind that Bama is a 62.4% chance to win based on ESPN analytics, and based on the odds makers, Bama is favored by 3, meaning that if it was neutral site, LSU and Bama would be even on the spread. What do you guys think? We start with Sam. LSU versus Bama.
With how LSU is playing this season, both how Bama is playing this season, it's gonna be close. Because not that neither team is doing too great this season. I think I'm gonna go Bama.
All right, Sam goes Bama to start things off. Michael,
Let's
the
keep it
Ohio
going with
State
Roll
fan,
Tide.
rolling with the Tide. Sean, an LSU fan, along with Notre Dame. You seen how LSU's played this year? Losses to Ole Miss and Florida State.
I brought LSU to win, but I think Bama's going to win Bama.
Mr.
I think
McKay.
in Nick Saban we trust.
I'm going to go Bama.
The other Mr. McKay. I'm going to make it 5 for Bama. LSU is a bit crazy. I hope they win, but
Same.
it's been on a downturn, and Jalen Daniels.
I'm going to root for them. I want
Daniels-
them to win, but I think Bama.
Yeah, but Jaden Daniels can't do anything about that crap defense.
No.
Nothing to do.
That's why they're
Yeah.
losing games.
That's
'cause they
why
don't
they're
have
losing
damn
games.
defense.
The defense. Even though when I play with them on NCAA 14, the defense is always good for some reason. World Series, we had games 1 through 4 since we were out. Texas, a big game 1, a crazy game 1.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying that it was going to be a
Texas.
real bad series. Nobody cares about Arizona. Nobody cares about Texas. Game 1 was the least watched Game 1 of a World Series in a while, I believe,
Wow.
maybe
Mhm.
all time.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible game. Arizona got out to a good start.
Mhm.
Texas came back. Was it Seager who hit the tying
Corey
home
Seager
run?
with
And Garcia
Corey
at the
Seager.
walk-off.
And then Adolis Garcia
Yeah.
with the walk-off in the 11th inning.
Corey Seager there was one out. I believe it was top of the ninth, bottom of the ninth. He hit a 2-run bomb to tie up the game. Then that leads into into extra innings, and then in the 11th inning, Adolis Garcia hit a walk-off
Absolute
with
nuke.
with a bat flip. It was sick.
That's a nice way to end Game 1. First
Oh, yeah.
walk-off in World Series Game 1 since 1988 with Kirk Gibson playing on
Yeah,
the
I think-
Dodgers
I'm
when he
pretty
was
sure
injured, by the way. That's
that-
an incredible
I'm pretty
sports
sure
moment.
that was Adolis Garcia's first walk-off to win in a postseason since 2018.
I'm
been a
not
minute.
sure
Yeah.
about that, but
There
that could be correct.
The stat was it's been a minute since he's hit a walk-off in the postseason.
George Walker Bush, the former president, with his second straight World Series first pitch involving the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, the other one was under a lot different circumstances.
But that first one was a perfect strike down the middle.
From the mound, this one
From the mound.
barely on the mound.
But
Boop,
he's
boop,
also
boop,
20
boop.
years old.
He is also 20 years older, 22. So
Yeah.
we'll give him a pass on this one, Mr.
Yeah, and
President.
it was still a pretty decent throw.
It was pretty good for
It's better than,
70, 80-year-old.
It's better than some
I
players
give
like
him
Steph
claps.
Curry.
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
give him golf
true.
claps.
What?
Or
What throw?
or who was
Pitches.
Stephen A. Smith
yeah.
doing the Yankees' first pitch a few months back. So Game 1 very good to watch. Game 2 not so much. Arizona walked that one, 9-1 a win over Texas in Game 2 to tie things up. Then Games 3 and 4. Game
It looked
3
promising for Arizona after game 2.
it did, but
They
Game
kept it up.
Game 3 low scoring, 3-1 Texas win puts them at 2-1, and then last night a big win, 11-7 with a home run from Simeon, a home run from Seager, and a home run from Hine.
Right
for
now,
the Rangers.
my Rangers in 5 is looking pretty sweet.
I said Rangers in 5 as well.
I was
I
the
said-
first one to
I
say
know
it.
you were.
I said Rangers in 6.
I said it
Well-
before the show.
And then those
I know
two
you
bombs
did.
over
I was
there
not
said
here.
Rangers in 7.
I wasn't
you
here
were not
last
here.
week,
You didn't
'cause-
care.
I
You don't
said-
get the extra
To be
points.
honest, I
I
really
said
don't care about
Rangers in
baseball.
seven.
I
Yeah,
just
you
roll
did.
with the Tide.
But yeah, That game I looked, it was like bottom of the fourth, 10-0 Rangers.
Yes, it
and I'm like,
was.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that was.
There's no.
I don't really care how much the Rangers won. I just want them to win the World Series.
Like there was no
Yeah.
purpose of that.
Well, we need at least one Rangers team to win a championship because we know the New York Rangers aren't doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Nah,
Oh,
fear
wait,
the
speak-
Ranger.
We'll
Speaking
see.
of the
It's
Rangers,
the year of the Rangers.
Game 5 of the 2015.
2014 Stanley Cup final. If you're gonna diss them, get it.
If you want to get, you want to try and
11-7 in Game 4.
It doesn't
Texas
make sense what
defeats
you're trying to
them,
bring up.
and they
so.
can't.
What?
yeah.
All right,
We're talking about baseball.
order here.
In Game 5 tonight, 8 o'clock on Fox, it is Texas at Arizona. The Rangers can clinch their first ever World Series win. ESPN says it's pretty even. Thank you for that sound effect, Sean.
What?
Texas is favored by a lot. They're on the road. The over-under is 8.5, so the odds makers are expecting a lot of
What
runs.
would you if the New York, Texas Rangers do win the World Series, but then in June the New York Rangers do win the Stanley Cup?
We will not talk about that.
Okay.
Anyways,
For that to happen, the Rangers actually have to make the Stanley Cup.
For that to happen, the Rangers don't have to sell in the second half of the season.
we will see. I mean, their coach has been doing pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
last year
guys, you
was
guys are acting
great.
like we still have
We
Gerard
went 5-0.
Gallardo.
We went 5-0
Yeah,
on the road.
We're 6-2 right now.
Yeah,
You
but
guys,
what are
you
some of the
guys are
teams
pretty
they
good,
played?
and you're leading the division.
You guys are acting like we have the same.
We played
trash.
Edmonton. We played Edmonton.
Well,
we played
Edmonton doesn't have-
Winnipeg.
Edmonton
stop.
doesn't do nothing.
played
Matt
Seattle.
knows. Alex and Michael are acting like the Rangers have the trash.
They're
We
acting,
played
they're
Vancouver.
acting like Sam did last year when the Rangers made the playoffs. You two are delusional. Come on. Get your head in the real world.
We played the
Escape the Matrix.
We played Vancouver. Vancouver's good this year.
Oh,
We played Vancouver.
Yeah,
Well, Vancouver's the irrelevant team, but
Most
they
of your
did beat
games-
Edmonton.
They've
so.
been
Alex.
playing good though.
Edmonton.
Alex and Michael think the Rangers are still the same trash team from last year. They're
And they
not.
aren't. Their
I
coach has been doing very good. It's still early, so we'll have to see
Mhm.
because everybody's focused on football, so nobody
Not me.
cares.
I'm focused on NHL, bro.
Nah, screw the NFL.
Well, we
Yeah.
got, keeping in mind our World Series picks, me and Sam looking pretty good. Texas in 5, we said. Michael doesn't care.
But
so
I
he said
still
good
get a
night.
point because if I
You
I
still
choose
got
the
a point,
Rangers,
but
yeah.
he said in 7 and Alex said in 6, so he may be looking good if Arizona can pull something.
No, I
I
don't.
think Arizona's gonna win one more. I think.
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see. They got one more chance to do it tonight.
Yeah.
Who's
NFL.
home for Game 5?
Arizona,
Oh.
but Texas is favored by a lot. Anyways,
Yeah,
And-
were they favored by like 5.5, 6?
National Football League. I'm not wearing the Jets sweatshirt. I wore it yesterday. But you're a Giants fan. Jets, Jets. Overtime win. They barely got the spike off. I'm surprised they got the spike off because they lost on a spike
Yeah,
this year already, right?
I texted Matt when there was like
Well,
23 seconds left. I was like, Matt.
I don't care about your text message because I was
Yeah.
in my back room.
You should have kneeled.
I was like,
No.
Matt.
My
there's
mom
25
was
seconds
my
left.
mom was on the phone with my grandma. My dad was on his knees thinking that they wouldn't get the spike off, and my brother was outside. He
Yeah.
pretends to be a
But yeah,
Jets
I
fan.
texted
But,
Matt. I'm like,
That
Matt.
I knew.
They missed the field goal. There's 23 seconds to go.
I know the
70 up.
Jets. I'm very surprised they did that. We have a pretty easy schedule coming up. We have a winning record finally. I am being happy. I know it's going to backfire
That
on
was a
me, but
very-
allow me to live in my delusion now.
That was a very gutsy call. To
Oh, and
throw
Aaron
right
Rodgers
down-
is coming back
Yeah.
week 17.
That
so.
was a very. But that
Oh,
was
it's
a very.
official?
No.
That was a very.
But they said Joe Douglas, when he was talking about trade, said they expect him to be back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was a very gutsy call to throw the ball down in the middle. Of the
What
field.
else would
and
you
I'm-
do though?
Well, I mean,
with 0 timeouts.
we have,
But hey, it worked. You got.
but we
25
have Lazard and Garrett Wilson. I know Zach Wilson isn't the best, but he's got to learn he can't do it all himself. He's got a generational talent who's in his second year. Just throw it up to him, hope he makes a catch, or run it with the other
Which he
generational
did
talent,
make a
Brees
really
Hall,
good
that we've got in our backfield.
I guess he's learning from Tua and Tyreek.
But
Epic. Garrett Wilson's down there somewhere.
if I'm going to be honest, that game deserved to end in a 10-10 tie. between
It
these two
really
teams.
did.
I can
It's
For
If
how-
I'm being
deserved
honest,
to be a tie.
I think in the second half the Jets should have blown out the Giants because we have a damn third string quarterback.
Well,
From Bosco.
From Bosco.
Let's-
And Bosco, stand up.
No, but the fact that like you guys barely beat us, you guys should have crushed
I
us in the
know.
second half.
Let's
like,
not-
But it's
guys
the
were
Jets,
very
Sean.
Catholic.
It's the
Let's
Jets.
not
No,
forget-
Bosco.
But it's the
Jet-
2-5 Giants though with the third string
The
quarterback.
Jets and the Giants scored less points than they did in combined punts. The final total score between both teams was 23 points, and total punts were 24. 24 punts to 23 total points. That's embarrassing for the Battle of MetLife.
No, but somehow that's.
Well-
but somehow the
What about the
24
Raiders?
punts. No, but somehow.
That's a good question. We'll get to
You
the
guys
We'll get
lost
to that in a
the
We'll
second.
get to the Raiders in
but
a second.
but
First,
somehow
I get the smile saying
shut
that.
up. Somehow the 24 punts.
Your team
still,
lost
shut
too.
up.
stop.
I know,
Let him
shut
go.
up.
Somehow the
It's
24
Humpty
punts.
Dumpty.
Somehow the 24 punts was still not a record.
Humpty Dumpty.
It was 26.
Stop.
It was 26 punts, which is the record between the Raiders Chargers like 16 years ago. It was that game was
What a
horrible.
bunch of bums.
Well, I want to talk about something before we talk about the Raiders. I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because while they did get the win, 38-31, they were down 17-10 at halftime to Washington. 3-5 Washington. They should have blown them out of the water.
Washington is a good team.
They
year.
are. But the
No.
Eagles should have blown them out of the water.
No.
They're 3-5 in the same
have you been
division.
looking at the
And we'll talk about the trade deadline
get
in a
to the
moment because
That
even
game-
without Dan Snyder, they're still getting scammed.
That game,
honestly?
I think that game was supposed to be close. If I'm
Are we
being
sure
honest.
Bill O'Brien ain't with the Commanders right now?
I'm not sure. That could be possible. But is it still Ron Rivera or did they fire him?
No, it's still Ron Rivera.
It's still Ron
as of right
Rivera.
now,
Bill
I
Belichick.
think.
Bill Belichick.
No, I'm joking.
No. We're done with the Eagles.
All right.
But everybody please join me in saying Kansas City Chiefs.
What happened?
Not even double-digit points against one of the worst teams in the National Football
not
League.
even a touchdown.
Division rival, nonetheless. 24-9, as Michael said.
Not even a touchdown.
This team lost to the Jets of all teams. The Broncos lost to the Jets and a whole bunch of other crap teams. They're 3-5. They're 2-3 at home. They just got their second
They
win at
can
home.
still make the playoffs.
I know they can still
They
make
can
the
still make the
playoffs, but the
playoffs.
Chiefs should be undefeated right now.
No, but I watched Denver win the Super Bowl now.
It'll be Broncos Jets AFC
The
Championship.
Chiefs-
That's what it's going to be.
If I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs were
No,
on
Jets
a
Jacksonville.
If I'm not mistaken, the Chiefs were on a 17-game win streak over the Broncos.
Yep, since
the last time the Broncos
2015
yeah,
with Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning as the Broncos quarterback. Since then,
Hold
he
on.
was
And
retired
Alex Smith
and
is
made
the
the Hall of
Chiefs
Fame.
quarterback.
And we'll have the Raiders done.
What?
Yeah.
Against the Broncos?
Well,
Giants
the
haven't
Raiders
done
the
it
Raiders
either.
have made the playoffs at least.
Yeah,
the
the Raiders have made the
Giants
playoffs and we're on a
And when you made the
7-game win
playoffs,
streak against
and
the
when you made the playoffs, you guys also in the first round, right?
And when did you guys
Yeah.
lose?
We at least won the first round.
Oh,
though.
right, because you were
Yeah.
playing Minnesota.
Yeah,
That
the
doesn't
only-
count, though.
The
'cause
only reason
they
why we
were
lost that
frauds
game,
anyways.
No, it does.
the only reason why we lost that game was because Derek Carr threw an
we
interception
still
All
almost
right.
beat
on the.
Poverty franchise. no
Well,
one
Makes
cares.
me now
speaking of
team.
the poverty franchise that gambles all their life away in Las Vegas.
Tell me about it.
26-14, the loss on Monday Night Football to the Lions, now 6-2, which triggered the saving of Michael McKay because, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it already, the former Patriots head coach, thanks for the sound effect,
Not, the offense
the
coordinator.
former Patriots offensive coordinator, now Raiders head coach, also former Broncos head coach, Josh McDaniels, along with general manager Dave Ziegler, and just a few moments ago, offensive coordinator Mick Lombardi. Three of the big people in the Raiders executive branch, all gone.
Bye.
We will turn it over to Michael McKay. Michael, you have until 11:42. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Oh boy.
I finally get to say the Raiders with a smile.
We have
Are
another
you
thing to
sure?
talk about for the Raiders. It just came out. Ian Rappaport. The Las Vegas Raiders are benching Jimmy Garoppolo and starting Aiden O'Connell
Yes!
for the rest of the games moving forward.
I saw I saw this.
You guys
This
better
post
move.
What an L. Everyone was overhyping Jimmy Garoppolo.
No,
Why
and now
would you overhype
The
Jimmy
day
Garoppolo?
I
Why
saw
are we-
Jimmy
why are we
Garoppolo get signed to the Raiders, I literally threw
everyone
my
had
mind
their
out the window.
expectations.
You got till 11:42 to talk about the Raiders. What
Yeah,
are you
let's
doing?
And I'm
go.
getting,
Everyone
getting-
had
I
their
had to interrupt.
Everyone had their
Shut up.
expectations so high
Stop.
for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Nobody
this
cares
season.
about
Let him
Jimmy
talk.
Garoppolo.
And
Let's
now-
let
and now
let's let
agree.
Michael
Give him
talk.
43 now.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so I finally get to say the Raiders with a smile on my face. Josh McDoofus is gone, Dave Ziegler is gone, and Mick Lombardi's gone. we now have a chance to turn this season around.
Yeah, and watch.
Look what happened last time. Yeah, John Gruden had things against him from the NFL, but when Rich Bisaccia took over,
You mean pistachio?
he turned this team around and made the playoffs and almost won their first game.
Against the
Against
team
the
that
Ci-
was going to the Super Bowl.
Yes. So
What team was that?
Bengals.
now we look to the future at who their potential head coaches could be.
Nothing's gonna happen in their future.
Let's see.
So you have Rich Bisaccia, number one, who I feel like they should bring back because you won with him.
Oh, he's the
And-
assistant head coach in special teams in Green Bay
Yeah.
right now, so it
There-
may take a little bit.
It may take something. But when I was looking at potential candidates, I found some interesting names who have contracts expiring at the end of the year. Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins, a team that has been doing really well and put up 70 points against the Denver Broncos,
Yeah, the Broncos.
which is a Raiders division rival.
But then the next week they proceed to lose to an actual team.
Yeah,
They lose.
31 to 10.
They have all their wins are against under 500 teams.
Okay, that's fine, because I have other names too.
All right.
You have
You got a
Press
minute.
Smith, who could be an
Who the
interesting...
hell is Press Smith?
Let him
He's
talk.
the offensive coordinator from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's brothers with... not Press Taylor, my bad.
You got 1 more minute.
He's got time.
And Press Taylor is brothers to Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals. So that could be an interesting Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh kind of
Yeah,
brothers
we'll see.
coaching.
We'll see. Maybe
got-
not a Super Bowl.
And then you got Brian Johnson, who is the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have been doing really well on offense, besides the Jet game. And they've been doing really good. And my last one is Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions, who the Raiders just lost to. He's been doing really well, and he made Jahmyr Gibbs against the Raiders look like Barry Sanders.
Well,
Jahmyr
I
Gibbs
don't-
had
Jahmyr
more
Gibbs-
points
I don't know if
than the
I'll go
whole
that
Raiders
far.
offense.
Jahmyr
Because
Gibbs
it's
is
the
pretty good.
Raiders.
Like, I don't know if I would put him if I'd compare him to Barry.
All right,
Sanders,
Michael.
but he's
All right,
good.
Now, hold up. Raiders record is what right now?
3-5.
The Giants' record is what right now?
I'm not talking about the records. I'm just all right.
That's
So
just-
no,
Stop, let him
stop.
talk,
Let
let
me
him
talk.
talk.
Let me talk, Humpty Dumpty. All right. So Raiders record 3-5. Do you think the Raiders could make the playoffs potentially
I see them
or not?
best.
Or
I
like
see,
they're not making it, but like it's like barely.
I see them best possibly making the playoffs, worst possibly making the hunt for the playoffs. I see them possibly falling out of.
What do you expect the draft pick to be?
I'm expecting
One.
You still got the
I'm
Broncos
expecting-
to be in that.
lowest
in
15,
Carolina.
Oh.
highest like.
Oh, 4 behind the
you're gonna-
Giants.
You're going to be between 10 and 15.
Yeah, I'll
I
probably
think.
be
Yeah.
in between 10 and 15.
So this is
But I
pistachio
see it as a
guy.
9-8 team.
Well, what
that
the
could-
Raiders need to do is they need to get Bisaccia back, but it may take a lot.
Yeah, because he can't just leave Green Bay right
Yeah.
now.
He's under contract still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had also 4 o'clock last night or yesterday afternoon. It was Halloween, and it was also the NFL trade deadline. We had a lot of trades go through. Our first one to talk about: the Commanders got scammed,
Absolutely.
and now the Niners have Bosa and Chase Young on opposite sides of the line. What are you supposed to do about that?
still
And
gonna
the
lose.
Bears now have Montez Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
There
What
goes
is Zach
both.
gonna
Just
do?
Chase Young for just a 3rd-round pick.
That was-
Third-round pick.
that was
I
like
know
the
his
one-
contract's expiring,
I
but
think,
still.
I think Washington's just desperate at this point.
Are we sure Bill O'Brien is not the head coach in Washington right now?
Well, Ron Rivera isn't any better, it doesn't seem.
He has-
Riverboat Ron's
No,
gambles.
there's-
I mean, he didn't
Bro,
even know that
Commander's
they were-
GM needs something, bro.
He hasn't been
last
good.
season, he didn't even know that he missed the playoffs. Like that last game that they lost to make them lose, missed the playoffs. He didn't even know that he was going to be able to miss the playoffs.
For Rivera?
Ron Rivera hasn't been good
Last
since the
year,
2015
yeah, I
Super
remember
Bowl,
that.
which he coached the Carolina Panthers
you have Cam
with
Newton,
Super
that's
Cam,
why.
Mhm.
which I don't know
Yeah.
what happened there.
Well,
He had one time.
they
wonder
ran into
Cam
Von
Newton.
Miller, is what happened.
Von Biller now.
Yeah, that's true. The Vikings lost their signal caller Kirk Cousins to a torn Achilles last week. So they picked up the veteran Josh Dobbs from Arizona, who's been doing pretty well. I'm not sure why they would trade him away. I guess they think
Kyler Murray's
Kyler Murray's
gonna-
coming back, even though why would you want him? Because you're getting Caleb Williams anyway. The Vikings.
I don't know. He's as tall as Sam, so.
The Vikings took him as well as a conditional 7th rounder in the 2024 draft for a 2024 6th round pick. So that's what the Cardinals got a 2024 6th rounder. The Vikings got Dobbs and a conditional 7th rounder. So very, very interesting. The Vikings got a conditional pick in the 7th round, as well as a quarterback.
It's a 7th round pick, though.
Yeah.
The ghost of Achilles' heel has
Oh, no.
just been
We said that
getting
about
everyone,
Brock Purdy.
past and present NFC North quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers week 1, and now Kirk Cousins. Who's next? Justin Fields?
I'm the
Your
ghost of the
quarterback.
Achilles.
But they are naming rookie Jaron Hall as their starter this coming week as Dobbs gets acquainted to the offense. I
That's-
do not know who Jaron Hall is,
That's going to be real interesting.
but we'll see how he
Next
does.
Tom Brady.
The Vikings are playing the Falcons 1 o'clock in Atlanta on Fox.
Is Desmond
this
Ritter
Sunday.
even starting? Or
No,
is
it's
he-
going to be Taylor Heineke. It just got announced.
Why? I've been heard
The
of.
last time Taylor
Ritter just
Heineke
got
actually
benched.
did good
Why?
and
'Cause he's
people
bad.
had hope for him was
I think he's playing
21,
good.
2020.
2020 against the Steelers, I believe.
Well, when
Or not-
he
no,
made-
what am
well
I
he
saying?
got
Not
he got
Steelers.
Washington to the playoffs, even though they were
Yeah.
under 500.
It was
'cause they won
Tampa,
the
I believe. No,
NFC East. Yeah, it was Tampa.
it was Tampa because they lost to Tampa.
You think Taylor Heineke's a good QB?
He's all right. I
He's
say
a good
better
backup.
than Ritter.
He's a good career backup, I think.
The Bills upgraded their cornerbacks. They traded for Rasul Douglas from the Packers. They sent a 2024 third rounder and a 2024 fifth rounder for Rasul Douglas.
I guess the
I like that pickup.
I
like
guess
that
the
pickup.
Packers just couldn't keep Rasul Douglas after paying Rashawn Gary $107 million.
It doesn't matter. They have Jair Alexander.
They do. So I agree that one of them had to go.
Exactly.
And it was Douglas. So now the Bills have a cornerback just in case Tre'Davious White goes down,
Like he did last year.
and the Packers have some more picks that
Speaking
we'll
of the
probably
Bills,
use on corners anyway.
When
So-
is DeMar Hamlin going to come back?
Didn't he come back already?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but has he played a game?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
What are
think
you
so.
talking
Yeah,
He
but
about?
he's
played
already
like
been.
week 5.
Where
played-
have you been,
Oh,
bro?
wait, Damar Hamlin's played in like two
He's
different
been
games.
playing,
Every time
man.
I've seen him, he's been sidelined.
Ain't no way, bro. Like,
And the last trade that we're going to talk about is the Lions acquiring or giving Donovan Peoples-Jones to the Browns for a 6th round pick in 2025.
when the Lions got them, or did they trade
The
away?
Browns got
No, he was on the Browns.
Oh, sorry. Peoples-Jones to the Lions for
That is very good for the Lions.
for a Browns 2025
People Jones
sixth
is a
rounder.
good receiver.
He is a very good receiver.
They have Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, and now Peoples Jones.
I like that pick.
And then you still have the goated tight end Sam Laporta. Well,
It's got
Lions can
are
win
a
the
dangerous
Super Bowl.
team.
They can win
Lions
the
are a
Super Bowl,
dangerous
bro.
team this year.
DeMar Hamlin hasn't played a single game this season.
Yeah, he has. He's
Yes, he
played-
has.
Okay,
What are you
no,
talking about?
no one
ESPN says
cares. No
nothing.
one
He-
cares
okay,
about
he's
DeMar
not-
Hamlin right
Who
now.
cares?
Please shut,
Stop.
shut. Everybody shut. We got like 5 minutes left. Games to watch next week. Your Raiders against Sean's Giants. Raiders expected to win that. They're favored by just 2. It is in Las Vegas, so the Giants should be favored by 1 if it was
The
at
Battle of the
neutral
Bums.
site. Yes, the Battle of the Bombs. That's agreeable.
Imagine that. Oh, Daniel Jones is playing this week.
The would-be game of the week would be Dallas against Philadelphia. That is a pretty even game. Philly favored by 3 because of home field advantage. It is at the link. ESPN says they both have a 49% chance to win. It's pretty much 50-50 there.
Place your bets on how many picks Dak throws this week.
About 5. Chargers, Jets on Monday Night Football. The Jets with a big win over the Giants coming up. The Chargers are favored to win that on the road. They're favored by 3, but it is Justin Herbert, so let's hope he does Justin Herbert things. But our game of the week is in Frankfurt this week. 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network. They put the Dolphins and the Chiefs in Frankfurt. It is a close game. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5. It's neutral site. The Chiefs are 50% chances to win over the Dolphins, according to ESPN Analytics. We'll start with Sam. Miami versus KC. Who's going to win?
Miami.
Over to Michael. What do we got?
I'm going Miami, baby.
All right.
Fine,
Going
question.
to
Bring me to South
Miami.
Beach.
Sean, what do you got?
Dolphins.
Dolphins, really. Okay, Alex?
Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs as well. This is interesting. We got a
Tyreek
split
Hill
house.
is going to give Tyreek Hill's going to give the Chiefs the peace sign.
For our picks record, me and Alex are now tied for first at 6-2. Sean and Michael tied for third at 4-3, and Sam up to 500 somehow at 4-4. Big win there for Sam,
He'll
but
lose
he's
the next
still
4
in
weeks.
last, 5th place out of all of us.
I'll take the 500.
And we've got one more thing to talk about in this last 2 minutes. James Harden to the Clippers for a huge package. Harden, PJ
Terrible
Tucker,
package.
and Philip Petrusev to the Clippers for Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, an unprotected first rounder in 2028, 2 second rounders, and a pick swap for 2029, as well as an additional first rounder from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
They got absolutely fleeced.
But Harden is old, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, he's
matter.
washed.
He is
Not
washed.
honestly.
He's not that bad, but
It's
he's gonna
50-50.
be washed.
It's
I mean, the
50-50.
Clippers are gonna be dangerous this
No,
year.
watch
I
him
think.
be like, watch him want to lead the Clippers
Kawhi,
too, bro.
Kawhi, Paul
Westbrook,
George, Westbrook,
Paul
and
George.
James Harden now.
It's
4 out of 5
crazy.
stars
Wait, Westbrook
from
is on there?
2015.
I
yes.
know.
They must be angry from 2-3 years ago when
Oh,
they.
the starting 5 for the Clippers is pretty much a 2015 All-Star.
They're gonna go crazy.
So
But
we'll
it's
see
not,
how
it's
that
not
works
2015
now.
though.
I
It's,
know. We'll see how that works now. It's going to be a nostalgic team, though.
uh,
It's
It will
like,
be.
you're thinking back, you're going to look at that team, and it's going to be like, what year is it? With that, we will end this episode of the Pascack Clutch Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matthew Merlino. To Sean Barry, Michael McKay, Sam Koppelman, and Alex McKay, thanks for joining us. We will see you.